All right, we're back. All right, everyone is here. We're diving back into Emily Nagoski's Come As You Are.
And I am feeling so ready. Honestly, after that massage this week, my body feels like it's finally back in the game.
Well, if your body is the game, I'm just here for the snacks. But seriously, Seth, we're looking at the software update today, right?
Exactly. We're moving past the biological hardware and looking at the bugs in the programming. Specifically, this idea of the impatient little monitor.
Ugh, I have one of those. It's currently monitoring exactly how much I regret walking too fast in those sneakers earlier.
See, that's the perfect lead-in. Look at how Nagoski phrases this. She says our culture absolutely teaches us to have impatient little monitors, and she uses this phrase criterion velocities.
Criterion velocities. That sounds so mathematical. Like we're tracking a car on a highway.
It is. It's the speed we expect ourselves to reach a goal. And she says we set these speeds as small as possible, which leads to frustration, rage, and eventually...
Despair. Great. Now I'm despairing about my ankle and my internal monitor.
Wait. She makes a huge claim here. She says this monitor is a gremlin of irony.
Because the very thing you're doing to try and fix the problem, the monitoring, the checking the clock, is actually what's killing the vibe?
Exactly, she asks. And does that frustration make it easier for the brakes to release? Quite the opposite.
Of course not. You can't yell at a person to relax. You can't yell at a brake to let go.
Right. And here is the patch for the software. This is the core of her thesis for this section. She says, the central approach to orgasm difficulties is to change the goal by making pleasure the goal, not orgasm.
Wait, that's a massive reframe. It's like, if you're playing a video game and you're obsessed with the high score, you stop noticing the actual gameplay.
Yeah, she literally says, orgasm isn't the goal. Pleasure is the goal. That's so liberating. If it takes 30 minutes, hooray. If it takes 5, hooray.
I'll celebrate my 30 minutes of pleasure with a very large glass of red wine, thanks.
But then she moves into something a bit more controversial, or at least something people get stuck on. The vibrators section.
Oh, here we go. The is this cheating panic?
Exactly. She notes that while many women feel this initial resistance, this idea that they should be able to do it without a tool, the actual data shows that using a vibrator is linked to better arousal and desire.
And she tackles that unnatural miss head on. She connects it back to that sanctity moral foundation we talked about earlier. The idea that there's a pure way and a bad way.
It's just more cultural pigeonholing. Am I cheating on him with it? It's ridiculous.
But she points out the trap, though. She says people don't get addicted, but they do get caught in a new loop. They get so used to the high intensity of the vibrator that they forget how long it takes without it.
And then the monitor comes back. The frustration returns because the criterion velocity has shifted.
It's a never-ending cycle of self-optimization.
It gets even weirder, though. She brings up this anecdote about socks.
Wait, what? Socks? Are we discussing footwear now?
She's telling a story about students Brittany and Tiffany who thought they read that socks make it easier to orgasm, and surprisingly, it was true.
I mean, if the brain is scanning for threats, a cold foot is a threat.
Precisely. It's not some deep foot fetish. It was just the participants were uncomfortable because they had cold feet. It's a simple physiological fix.
This ties into her concept of integration. This is where it gets really beautiful. She says all our internal states, hunger, thirst, sleepiness, even how much you like your socks, interact in the brain.
She calls it subtractive integration when something like cold feet interferes with arousal. But then she shows the flip side, additive integration, where one positive state reinforces another.
Like when you're feeling that closeness with a partner, and that feeling actually boosts the physical drive.
Exactly. But, and this is a heavy moment, she warns that additive integration can be unhealthy too. She gives the example of someone using sex to cope with stress, or even the terrifying example of women using sex to bond with an EVU-SIVA partner, because the threat to attachment forces a biological drive to seek closeness.
That's heavy. That's more than a software bug. That's a survival mechanism.
It is. And to explain how all this chaos works, she uses this incredible metaphor. She says, you can visualize the effect of integration if you think of your brain as a flock of birds.
I love this. There's no leader, no one shouting orders. Just individual birds following simple rules, avoid predators, stay near your neighbor.
So yourself, the person you think you are, is just a flock? A composite self made of all these competing drives?
A hologram, she calls it. A noisy, messy, multi-directional tug-of-war of hunger, sex, fear, and curiosity.
So there was no master controller to fix the monitor. We're just A bunch of birds trying not to crash into each other.
Exactly. And maybe the goal isn't to command the flock, but to just fly. Okay, we're back. We just finished talking about the flock, this idea that your brain isn't a single commander, but a collection of different, often competing drives.
It's such a beautiful image. But I want to look closer at how she defines the actual feeling of pleasure within that flock.
Right? Because she makes this distinction. She says if the brain is the flock, then orgasm is this magnetic pole, a destination but sexual pleasure? That's the flock itself.
So orgasm is the finish line, but pleasure is the actual running.
Exactly. And look at how she explains the mechanics. She says the more birds flying toward orgasm, the greater the pleasure. But, and here's the kicker, if some birds are trying to hit the goal, but others are, well, distracted by, say, cold feet.
There it is, the socks. We're back to the socks.
Right. She says if some birds are focused on the goal and others are focused on warmth, the flock won't move in the same direction. The subtracted integration of those cold feet pulls the whole group apart.
But then she gives us the additive version. This is the part that gives me chills. She says when you have an attachment object like a partner you love, those birds tug their neighbors to fly faster and more enthusiastically.
So, falling in love is basically just a massive sudden boost to your flight speed?
Precisely. It's all about coordination. She uses this heavy technical term here. Sexual pleasure is an emergent property of a complex dynamical system.
Emergent property. Every time a scientist wants to sound fancy.
But wait, Jane, look at what she actually means by that. She's saying peak pleasure happens only when the entire collective is tuned to the same environment. When you turn on all the ons and turn off all the offs, all the motivators, curiosity, attachment, pleasure, all hitting that same magnetic pole.
It's about total alignment.
It sounds exhausting, though, like trying to coordinate a protest of 10,000 people.
It is, and she actually uses a real-life example to show how hard it is. She introduces us to Olivia.
Oh, I like an underdog story. What's Olivia's deal?
She's a marathon runner type. Intense, driven, a total perfectionist. And she says, and this is a huge quote, "I'm my own lion all the time."
I feel that. I feel that in my very soul.
She felt this, out of control, pressure because of the cultural brainwashing we talked about earlier. But then, she tried an experiment. She used an erotic massage to practice, well, not hitting the brakes, but just taking her foot off the accelerator.
Oh wow, that's such a subtle shift.
She used the massage to keep her mind quiet. Every time her internal monitor got impatient and tried to rush toward the goal, she just took a deep, slow breath and returned to the sensation of the skin.
So she wasn't fighting the monitor, she was just ignoring his frantic shouting?
Exactly. And the result? She had an orgasm that lasted minutes. It shuddered and rolled. And she described it as feeling like being out in the center of the ocean rather than just surfing on the shore.
The center of the ocean. That's so much more vast.
But she also says it was scarier because she had to let go of all control.
That's the part that hits home. She realized her greatest erotic power didn't come from how often she could orgasm, but from allowing pleasure to be still inside her.
Wait, I think I just found the most important patch in the whole book.
Which is?
She says science can tell you how to move the birds, but it cannot give you permission to experience ecstasy. Only you can do that.
Well, thank God. I was really waiting for a peer-reviewed study to tell me I'm allowed to enjoy myself.
It's a profound point. She ends this section by saying that science can explain the mechanics how shame shrinks the experience and joy expands it. But the entitlement to pleasure, that's yours alone.
You were born entitled to all the pleasure your body can feel. I need to sit with that for a second.
Me too. She leaves us with one final question. Not a scientific one, but a personal one. If you wanted to, how would you find your enough way to ecstasy?
Man, I think I need to go check if my socks are warm.
And I'm going to go find some more red wine for the additive integration of my evening.
Fair enough. We'll be back next time. All right, we're at the finish line, the final stretch of Nagoski's manual. We've covered the hardware, the software, the birds in the flock. Now she's getting into the actual maintenance schedule.
And honestly, it feels so much more practical. Like I was reading this part earlier and I was just like, yes, finally, a solution that doesn't involve a PhD in neurobiology.
Because it's literally just put on socks.
She really does lean into that. She says the offs, the things dragging your flock away, need to be respected and treated like the sleepy hedgehog from chapter 4.
A sleepy hedgehog. That is the most non-threatening way I've ever heard someone describe a biological stress response.
I love that. It's like, don't fight the hedgehog. Just give it a leaf or something.
Exactly. She says you have to be kind and gentle with each of the offs. And she's being incredibly pragmatic here. She lists things like chronically stressed, complete the cycle with a good cry, a brisk walk, or a primal scream.
Or a massage, or just a nap. She actually says, tired, take a nap. It's so easy to forget that our sexual capacity is tied to our basic human needs.
I'm currently completing the cycle with a heavy dose of resentment toward my ankle, so I'm clearly doing that primal scream part wrong.
But look at how she bridges the gap between the small stuff and the big stuff. She says the small off the grid on the sheets. The cold feet are straightforward, but then she moves into the heavy hitters, body image, trauma, lack of trust. And she says, and this is vital. It took decades of planting and cultivation to create the garden you currently have. It won't change overnight.
That's a heavy way to put it. Like, don't expect a sudden forest fire to fix a desert.
Right. But then she hits on the most insidious off of all, the one that ties back to everything we've been saying about the impatient monitor. She says the most important practice is self-kindness.
Because of the shoulds.
Exactly. She says women get stuck because they believe something shouldn't hit their brakes. Like, it shouldn't turn me off to have the lights on.
And then you're just sitting there in the dark, judging yourself for being afraid of the dark.
Precisely. And she drops this pop quiz right in the text. She asks, does a belief that you're doing something wrong with sex hit the accelerator or the brakes?
The brakes. Definitely the brakes.
She just says, yeah. She doesn't even argue. It's just a fact.
But I love her solution for the light problem. She suggests a gradual approach. Start with unlit candles, then 1 tea light, then 2. It's like a slow software rollout.
I can get behind that. No sudden system updates.
And then we get to this beautiful story about Merit. She was raised religious, had this huge struggle with orgasm, and she decided to just stop comparing her experience with her expectations.
She simply allowed her experience to be what it is. That's powerful.
And she ends up sharing this hymn. It's about finding a piece of the center and core of yourself that resonates like a bell. She says that's what happens when you turn off the offs and allow the ons to focus on one goal: pleasure.
It's so much bigger than just biology. It's spiritual. Even if she's using the language of mesolimbic pathways.
Speaking of which, she brings up this woman, Lori. She went to a retreat, did some yoga, ate mindfully, and basically slept 9 hours a night.
If sleeping 9 hours a night is the secret to sexual ecstasy, I'm moving into a nap clinic tomorrow.
But Lori says, I can't be a source of joy in the lives of the people I love if I can't even be a source of joy for myself.
That's the software update right there. It's not about fixing a defect. It's about reclaiming the capacity for joy.
So, to wrap up this whole journey, she gives us this TLDR, the too long, didn't read version.
Let's hear it. Give us the highlights.
Number 1, orgasms happen in your brain, not your genitals.
Check.
Number 2, less than a third of women are reliably orgasmic from penetration alone, and that's totally normal.
We are all normal.
And finally, to have bigger, better orgasms, turn off more of the offs and turn on the ons more gradually.
Slow and steady wins the race, or in this case, the flock.
Exactly. She leaves us with this idea of confidence and joy, and she's been working on defining those for years.
Well, don't leave us hanging, Seth. What's the definition?
Well, that's a conversation for the next episode.
Oh, you are such a tease.
All right, I'm out. I got some socks to find.
And I've got some wine to consume. For integration.
Thanks for walking through this with us, everyone. See you next time.
That's a wrap on the first half, folks. Time to reset the energy.
Yes. Let's do a quick little ritual of the sun before we lose the vibe.